Morning, everyone. Okay. A couple of years ago, God unexpectedly came and made himself known in my life. I wasn't searching for him, but I wondered if he could see that I wasn't living my life to the full in the way that he'd intended for me. I felt quite lonely, disconnected, striving to measure up and be good enough and meet the expectations of others, while ignoring my own need for love and belonging. When I was on maternity leave with my daughter Charlotte, I started attending the parent and baby group that was at this church, Tiddlers at Temple. I was made to feel so welcome and at ease by Jessica and Ruth, Imogen and Kirsty, who led and helped at the group. And I soon found out that Jess was also one of the leaders of Pontypridd Community Choir. And I was keen to join, as I used to love music when I was in school, although my singing wasn't up to much. So I thought it would be good for me to join to help me make some new friends. And to be honest, it was such a wonderful experience to be part of the choir. I used to look forward to going every week, and while I was there, I had just the indescribable feeling of joy and belonging when we all came together to sing and enjoy each other's company. Although it wasn't a Christian choir as such, I knew that Jess, Kath, Sarah and Rachel, who led the choir, were Christians, and there were a number of other Christians in the choir too. I became intrigued by them. They were all so loving and humble and compassionate, and there was a genuine desire to create community, no matter who you were or where you came from. And although I was intrigued by their faith, I was more than a bit sceptical and believed that faith in God did not make any rational sense. I had a nagging feeling that despite my reservations, I had a responsibility to explore this further. So I started reading Christian articles online and watching talks on YouTube by speakers such as Timothy Keller, who spoke persuasively about how belief in God actually does make sense. My head and my heart were pulling me in different directions. I really wanted to believe, but I just couldn't quite get there. So one Sunday I bit the bullet and attended a Sunday service at Temple in the hope that it would help. Coming into the church, I did feel a little bit uncomfortable by the singing and the joy that people were obviously feeling who were here. But the sermon itself was incredibly appropriate for where I was in my search for answers. Andy Sparks asked the question about whether there was, too much focus on experiences of faith. And he talked about how Jesus called us to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul and mind. And he was encouraging us that an intellectual search for the truth of the gospel was acceptable and encouraged. And if we did that, it would reveal that it does stand up to scrutiny. So I read as many Christian books that I could get my hands on, and I was amazed to find that the historical evidence for Jesus' life, death and resurrection did in fact stand up to scrutiny and challenge. My Christian friends encouraged me to ask questions and to discuss my doubts. And even though I still had lots of questions swimming around in my head, I came to a point of realization that my search for the truth of the Bible had to start and end with Jesus. Because if he hadn't died and risen from the dead, then none of it was true. But if he had, which the evidence certainly suggested so, then this was life-changing. However, there is a big difference in believing the gospel accounts to be true and then making a leap of faith to trust Jesus with my life. And I am still learning that it is a daily process of choosing to trust him in moments of unbelief. Jesus says in the Bible that everything is possible for those who believe. It is sometimes hard to do this in our world, which says seeing is believing. But I know that in those hard times, when I have truly trusted in him, he has shown me that what he says is true. God saw my need for love and connection, and he placed people in my life, my family, my friends, and my church family, to walk with me, to love me, and to build me up through those hard times. He has given me a hope that is not dependent on the circumstances of my life, but on his promises that he loves me, is with me, and is always working for my good.